Hi, you guys. It's Elizabeth from Elizabeth's Oracle. Welcome to the Sun into Scorpio edition of the newsletter. Yay! Jupiter is transiting Scorpio. Lots of supportive aspects are finally coming online. So I will give you all the details. Here are the start times for each section. Thank you so much for watching, and let's jump in. You guys, so as usual, I'm going to walk you through a couple of charts, then I'll go into more details about what I think it means. So the first chart, of course, is when the sun enters the sign of Scorpio, and what you'll notice in the chart is that Mars and Venus are hanging back in Libra. Then we have Jupiter and Mercury along with the sun in Scorpio, and we have, of course, Saturn over there in Sagittarius. So this is the sector that's going to be important during this cycle, and that of course encompasses cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs. And I've marked those with your cardinal being in the kind of pinkish color, the fixed being in the blue, and the mutable being in the more purple pink color. So you can tell if your things are cardinal, fixed, or mutable in all of these charts. And what we're going to see, not a ton moving around, but I think that's really good because we're settling into a 13-month Jupiter cycle. And that's why I waited for this video to talk about this nice transit, because with the sun and Mercury and Scorpio, we can now really start to feel the Scorpio energy and get it more on our brain, and therefore know what we're going to be doing with Jupiter. So that's, just a snapshot of when the sun heads into Scorpio now. Really nice couple days later. This is what I'm going to come back to in the next section. This is the sun actually connecting with Jupiter. And so that's going to become important because this is a strengthening of the Jupiter energy that we're going to be talking about in Scorpio. Chart number 3. This is the full moon. So some of that fixed energy we talk about, and there's a lot going on around this that I want to point out for you guys. But with all of the 4 fixed signs involved here, we have the north and south node. Of course, a full moon means the moon is opposite the sun. So sun in Scorpio going up against that moon in Taurus. So this is some real fixed energy. You guys who are under any of those signs may feel some things coming to light, things that you need to deal with. And renew, which is one of Scorpio's qualities in here. Next is going to be towards the end of the cycle. You'll see that Venus has already moved on into Scorpio at this point. So this is the new Scorpio moon, and I think it's sort of a gift in the sense that whatever is coming up for you during the Scorpio cycle, this is a really powerful time to set an intention for what you're ready to change and move into. And then, so this nice grouping, all we've really done, we have the sun, strong degrees, obviously here, Jupiter more settled into Scorpio. And instead of Mercury being there, we have Venus. So again, nice time to set intentions as we get ready to go into the Sagittarius cycle. And the other thing, a couple of things I want to point out, just in general about this cycle that, we can keep this chart up for is you have less friction in the mutable area. That doesn't mean we have none. Obviously, with some planets in Sag and Neptune over there in Pisces, we'll get one exact square, but it's actually the cardinals that you're going to want to watch out for. And in this chart, you see Mars it's within a day, of squaring Pluto, it's actually the cardinal people who are going to be getting a lot more, like, more reverberations about what needs to come up, what needs to change. Because remember, Jupiter was part of all that Libra energy, while it brought up things along the cardinal axis and provoked things, had tough squares with Pluto, tough oppositions with Uranus that we're just coming out of. But now that it's in Scorpio, we have much more gentle energies. But this is one last little, zinger. Of course, of Mars and Pluto getting into it at the end of this cycle. That having been said, I want to jump into part 2 of this video, because I think overall we're heading into a really positive, productive time. And so I'm going to show you some graphics and dates to look at, and then I'm going to explain why. Okay? Okay, so when you pull up any of these charts, there are a couple of things that you're going to notice. So when we talk about Scorpio, it is the sign of purification, transformation, secrets, inheritance, other people's money, sexuality. It's pretty encompassing. It's emotional because we're dealing with a water sign, but its ultimate goal is healing, and it's gonna get a lot of support. The things that come up over these 4 weeks, maybe broader things that you work on over the next 12 to 13 months. Remember, Jupiter is in Scorpio till November 8th of 2018. So we have a long time for anything that's really triggering you emotionally to not run away from it, but to, give that healing. And there are several reasons that I say that, and that's my premise. But I want to show you all of the positive aspects and healing that is available. So in the immediate cycle, we get water trines to Neptune. So again, of course, our trines are very supportive. But again, it's the water. It's the healing of water, bringing up the emotions, which are really powerful, whether you suppress them or not. They bring up truth and how you're really feeling about things. And so this is a very supportive aspect for bringing that stuff to light and for bringing some healing and resolution. I know I'm going to try not to use the word healing quite as much, but you can't not talk about that when you talk about Pisces. It integrates everything we've been throughout the whole zodiac. There is also another aspect that I'll get to in a second about Jupiter. Let me keep all my thoughts straight here. So these trines, we're going to have Mercury, the Sun, and Venus during this cycle with trines to Neptune. But more importantly, we get 3 trines of Jupiter starting on December 3rd with Neptune. So again, things that open up for you in an emotional way. This is the ultimate goal, is opening your heart more, embracing more love, letting yourself be vulnerable to your emotions in a positive, open-hearted way, and integrating all of that. So really big opportunities coming up over, this Jupiter transit of Scorpio. The other thing that is supporting it, look at, Pluto, 2 signs over, which you guys know that forms sextiles. I'm putting the dates up here as we speak. So these sextiles are actually very important, and it is because Pluto rules Scorpio. Now, in ancient astrology, it was Mars ruling Scorpio, and I think, the Aries people are going to feel that in that weird, more internal way, the passion. They're both passionate, Scorpio and Aries. But in our, current and contemporary astrology, it is Pluto that rules Scorpio. So when we have all these planets in Scorpio, they connect in a very supportive aspect to the planets, mostly Pluto here in Capricorn, and later on we're going to get Saturn going into that, as you guys know, after December 19th, and Jupiter will be making connections there. That it's just going to be easier than it has been with Jupiter in Virgo the last couple of years when there were some squares with Saturn, when it was in Sag, and then when it's been in Libra, of course, the squares with Pluto. So it just hasn't been that easy for the mutables and the cardinals. So Jupiter piece that is also important is the 12th house aspect. When Jupiter is in Scorpio, its home sign is Sagittarius, which of course is where it goes next year, November 8th. So right now, it's also doing its 12th house issues, which is a lot of intense house cleaning on a soul level. This is also right in line with those Pluto themes. Pluto doesn't mess around. Pluto gets to the truth. Whether we say it or not, or whether we admit it or not, we know it. And that's the gift of Pluto. So not only do we have the planets in Scorpio being supported by Pluto there in Capricorn, but we also have that aspect of the 12th house. Jupiter in its own sense is helping us muck everything out, do the psychological work, do the healing so that it can prepare for its homecoming and its rebirth in the sign that it rules, Sagittarius. Now, other things that I want to mention are we do still have a little, of the overall, I was so impressed by the calm and the healing that I saw coming through in this cycle. As I pulled up charts, I was like, oh gosh, I think we're finally catching a break, and we're finally anchoring some healing time, and again bringing the water aspect back in that we haven't had for a while, getting out of the mutable stuff. And I happen to notice that even the Saturn connections that have been so difficult for 2 years are actually supported this time. We have a nice Venus sextile to Saturn coming up here. So even Saturn, which is normally a lot of trouble, or just putting on restrictions and making things difficult, it's getting supported this time. And so again, this is very powerful. And if we do the healing work and that internal reflection and housekeeping that Scorpio asks us to do, I think it's extremely transformational. And again, we're going to have really 13 months to work on those things. So that's kind of, my basic take. I don't want to, bore you guys with too many facts and figures, because the water sign thing brings us to a more intuitive place, and with those incredibly supportive aspects from Neptune, which just infuses us invisibly with ideas and intuitions and all of that. I feel like your internal guidance system is really going to be turned on during this cycle. And for so I am Elizabeth with Elizabeth's Oracle. You can reach me at elizabethoracle.co for a personal consultation. I also just got some solar return software for you astrology heads. It's a really cool report, so email me about that if you're interested, or call. All the information is always in the box below, in the description box, and all the links. You can also join me with my friend Christy Ayala on Christy's Connection to the Soul. We do a show once a month, usually the third Wednesday of the month, but you can listen via the archive anytime. We go over the astrology and I fill in a few more details, and Christy gives angel messages, so we hope you'll join us for that. Otherwise, good cycle. Just the beginning of a lot of healing. Now, a lot of muck may have to come up. You saw literally the day that Jupiter went into Scorpio, the Harvey Weinstein scandal broke wide open, and just anywhere where there have been people abusing power, that's going to be exposed now. That's what Scorpio does. It brings that up, and we're reforming things with those nice aspects to Capricorn, in Pluto in Capricorn, reforming institutions, cleaning things up. So it's all for the healing and the good. So I will see you guys when the sun heads into Sagittarius.